Hello, welcome to my theory application assignment. Today I will be talking about behavioral theory and conflict theory. Behavioral theory is the idea that all behaviors are learned through interaction with the environment, simply meaning that people learn from the stimulus that are given every day from their environment, whether that's through living or non-living things. That means your close friends, things that happen on your day-to-day life, caregivers, close teachers, etc. Second, people are malleable. This means that people's brains are easily influenced by outside forces, and that even if you think that your brain is fully developed or set in stone for how you think, things can always change. Just an example, when I was in middle school and high school, sometimes I thought I was the smartest kid ever and that how I would think would be exactly how I would think today, but growing up I realized that that is not the case, because my brain has definitely changed over the past 3 years. And lastly, children have no active role in development, meaning that the brain of a child is so underdeveloped or just not developed enough to the point where their personality is fully influenced by their environment, not their actual brain. They can't think for themselves currently, so all the influence they receive is going to be from their environment. These are the founders of the behavioral theory. First, we have Ivan Pavlov. He discovered classical conditioning. He actually accidentally discovered classical conditioning when he was observing dogs' physical reaction to food subtly change over time. He basically just noticed that when dogs were being fed, that their reaction to food would change differently when new stimuluses are presented. Next, we have B.F. Skinner. He discovered operant conditioning, and he did this by measuring and observing how animals' behavior would change. And he is famous for the Skinner box, where he would put animals such as mice and other small animals and observe them in the Skinner box. This is a very classic example of classical conditioning. We have the unconditioned stimulus, some food, and we have the dog. And then we have the neutral stimulus, which is the whistle. So at first, when the dog sees the food, he salivates. And that is the unconditioned response to the food. And when the whistle is given with the food, now the dog's response to the whistle is now going to make him salivate as well, because every time the dog hears the whistle, the food is presented. Next, we have operant conditioning, and this is basically just learning by obtaining rewards and punishments. Every human that exists works like this. People want to obtain as many rewards as possible to benefit themselves and avoid as many things that are harmful to them. That is basic human nature. So there are 4 words that would describe operant conditioning, and that's just going to be reinforcement, which is a stimulus that increases response; punishment, which is a stimulus that decreases response. And you can describe reinforcement or punishment as positive or negative, and positive adds something and negative takes something away.
In this presentation, we will be doing a short story time for both behavioral theory, and conflict theory. So let's get right to it. Starts off as a middle school Asian boy. Nice sunny day, nice morning, getting all ready for school, elementary school. You know, it's going well. Mom cooking up some breakfast. We got some eggs, English muffins, and bacon. Everything's starting to go good. Head over to elementary school, hop into class, and the professor gives you this type of face. And that's when the whole class goes silent. So the professor pulls out a little list, and she's like, from yesterday, everyone who's on this list will be, parents will be emailed and will miss recess. And that right there is an example of negative punishment. So the kid, very angry about that. Moving on, go to the next class, and we find out that kids who have A's in this class right now receive some candy. So that makes myself nice and happy. This is an example of positive reinforcement. So time to leave school, and mom comes and picks me up. We're driving back from school, and she tells me about the list. And my heart sinks at this point because I know it is not going to be a very good day. So after getting the recess taken away, mom comes home, beats me with the wooden stick, and that will be the example of positive punishment. Getting punished twice for the same thing. Always happens. So you already know myself will not again. So because of that, I will also be doing yard work as another punishment for being on that list. But at least after doing all that yard work, my mother let me not walk the dog for the day. And that is an example of negative reinforcement, which makes me happy again.
Next, we have conflict theory. And this is a theory that revolves around the fact that families are interdependent and conflict is integral for human nature. The reason why conflict happens so often is because everyone has different interests and everyone is competing for the same resources that are on this earth. And that's going to create disagreement and competition, and that is why not everyone's going to agree on everything. The founder for this conflict is Karl Marx, and he founded the conflict theory in the 19th century. He used this theory to explain the exploitation of the working class in capitalist societies. Now, there's a difference between conflict versus fighting. Conflict is when two or more people simply just disagree, and then fighting is the emotional response that at times results from conflict, and that is basically just butting heads. Lots of emotional responses, not trying to solve the conflict, just letting it be known that there is conflict. There are power differentials when thinking about conflict theory. Since families aren't always equal, conflict is not always fair, and because parents have power over children. So if a child and a parent are fighting over something, usually the parent has the say because they're giving care, they're giving food, they're giving shelter to a child that can't provide for themselves.
All right, part 2, conflict theory. So myself, new sophomore here at UNC Chapel Hill, moving into my first apartment, thinking it's gonna be a very nice time, you know, chilling and stuff. Meet my roommate. Here's my roommate. So we have a thermostat. One thermostat that controls the entire place, and I like setting it at 72 degrees. So I go to bed and stuff, go on with my nightly routine, fall asleep all well, and then I wake up. And I'm like, bro, it is so cold right now. What is going on? So I go out and the thermostat's changed to 65. So I just turn it back up. So it's in the morning, and I voiced my opinion about this to this guy. And he's like, all right, I'm not going to change it anymore. Let's just change it back to 72. I'm too cold when I'm in my room. So, it's 72 degrees. I go back to bed, and then same thing happens. Wake up in the middle of the night, freezing, and now I'm mad. So I go back out, and I set it back to 72. Day goes on. Now it's the evening of the next day, and I decided to voice my opinion about this because I don't like waking up in the middle of the night freezing. So this time, instead of ignoring me, we decide to just start fighting, and started getting emotional. I started getting emotional a little bit, getting both of us kind of mad that temperature is being switched around. So this is just an example of fighting where it's just a bunch of emotional responses rather than actually defining what the problem is. So we started talking for like an hour or so. Then we realized that his bed was like always hot and my bedroom was always cold. So we had to find a solution to that, voice our opinions, and we ended up setting the temperature to 70 degrees instead. That is conflict resolution.
Alright, so some similarities and differences between conflict theory and behavior theory. The similarities is that both theories agree that people learn from their environment and that caregivers can use behavioral theory in order to solve conflicts. This is because people can understand that other people learn from rewards and punishments. Therefore, you can solve conflicts and unwanted behaviors using behavior theory. Some differences is that behavior theory focuses on learning, while conflict theory focuses on the fact that conflict is essential to human life. And I think it is essential because through conflict, you deepen your relationship with the people around you because you have to openly communicate about the problem that you have. You have to find a way to solve this problem, and there's a lot more reasons why as well. So to conclude, conflict theory and behavioral theory are slightly intertwined. You can use behavior theory to solve conflict, and these theories provide the basic foundation of how humans develop. And these are my references. Thank you for listening and have a good one.